Hello everybody, welcome to tonight's stream. We just got a few questions to go over today, with the main focus being Bitcoin. Crypto has been extremely bearish these last few weeks, and we're going to look at if that is still the case. So, essentially what we were looking at last time is this wave PM cross. Every value was below the 0.7, so we saw all those periods cross up, which resulted in a new trend. That trend manifests itself on a lower time frame, like the 4-hour, by an overexpansion. Right? So if you look here, take a look, and we see that as the 400, right? And our longest overexpanded period defines in the 1.25 standard deviation to define that trend. As long as we were on below that pivot, Bitcoin would remain bearish, and we have since broken above it. So Bitcoin is not bearish, at least not for the next week. So what does this mean? Ideally, and most likely, what we're going to see is price action travel sideways and upwards to the 400 moving average on the 4-hour chart. Okay. It should last a few weeks. Nothing interesting is going to happen other than slow upward consolidation. Now, previously when we compared this chart, what we did is we compared this move to 2018. Right? So what we saw was this bearish expansion. We defined the longest overexpanded period, which in this case was 250 on the daily, which I will now manually define. Okay. So this stayed bearish for quite some time until we crossed up above this pivot, at which time we saw meaningful consolidation. Now, what's interesting about the current situation is that this bearish expansion has already finished its compression. Or rather, it's finished expanding and has started compression. Right, on the daily chart, this is the 40 period. And as we see, what we expected is we expected this expansion to continue indefinitely, as so long as it was below the pivot. And we have since crossed inside the pivot. So bearish trend's over. Right. This initially seemed like it's going to be another sort of a long leg down. I think a lot of people are still in that boat. But we've consolidated long enough to actually cause this condition to be our new support. Right? What was once our resistance, this pivot here, is now going to act as support. So we can bounce off that, and we should stay inside. And this will remain true until this 40 period, 50, excuse me, we will remain in consolidation until this 50 period turns green. Now we can actually take a look at that by looking at our PM. If we just put in 50 here, cool. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Right, we will stay consolidating until this pink line goes below 0.7. We will not start a new trend until that happens. So, nice quiet consolidation. This should give a week or two for alts to recover significantly. So keep an eye out on some of our charts. Next up, our request is BNB. Okay, so for BNB, we've had a very significant long upward trend on the daily. It's been intact for so long, in fact, that our overexpanded period, or rather, our indicators work based on a 100 period look back to define volatility. And since we've been trending for long enough, volatility has defined our new norm. So any kind of significant expansions in here, those expansions are smaller in terms of physical readings compared to, say, a smaller move that generates a larger reading, right? This is just how divergence on indicators happens, right? In indicators, you have a data set based on your period look back, and what's significant is if you have in that data set significant volatility, it will require a larger amount of volatility to redefine what would once be considered an extreme reading. So if we take a look at the 4-hour chart here, we get ourselves a very clean and beautiful reading because our 100 period look back is clean, right? Because we had this nice long period of compression to define our trend pivot off of. Now, this is really nice because our longest overexpanded period is holding up quite nicely. We're directly on that pivot right now. If you would like to go for a play where you buy right now, stop out maybe 5%, and then just bet on trend continuation, that's great. That would be an excellent move. Another interesting metric we can see here is the 3.2 standard deviation of the longest overexpanded period here. It tends to act as a hard brick wall for taking profit or for shorting counter trend positions, which are risky but profitable in the right scenarios. This being one of them, where after we tag that price pivot, we go back down to our longest overexpanded period. Now, the counter position is if this does in fact significantly break inside, it will retest to the upside and you short, with the target being that 400 period moving average. Clean and simple. Alrighty, that should be it for tonight. It has been a pleasure. I will talk to you all in a few days.